Hi everyone, it's Michelle again on a beautiful sunny day out at Chapter 1 Tea Rooms, and we thought that this week we would make some beautiful flowers recycling egg boxes. These are really easy to do and you can just use the whole of the egg box to make up all these beautiful flowers. I'm going to show you in detail how we did this now. So I started off with a piece of cardboard and I cut it into a circle with a circle out of the centre. You don't have to cut a circle out of the centre, that's too hard because it is a little bit awkward. And then I got some paint and I'm using acrylic paint. Acrylic paint's really nice because it dries shiny. And I just covered the whole of my rings with the green acrylic paint. If you do have acrylic paint, just be very careful because it can get on your clothes and it will stay on your clothes. It will wash off your hands, but it might stain your clothes, so just be careful with that. So there you can see I've started to paint the background. There's one that I made earlier in good old Blue Peter style. So you may have egg boxes lying around. If not, we can always get some to you. We've got lots here at the hub. And what I try to do is I try to use every single part of the egg box. So we start off just by cutting around the shape where the eggs would sit. You do need quite a good pair of scissors to do this. If you haven't got scissors that will cut through this, I'll show you in a minute how you can actually rip. It'll be different, but that's the whole point of doing some artwork like that. It's different. So we've got a basic shape there, and now what we need to do is to make that into a flower shape. So one of the first things I'm going to do is just snip into the egg cup all the way around, just making little sections, as you can see, like that. Now I could leave that as it is, I could just pull the petals back and leave that as it is, and flowers are not perfect, flowers are all unique. So that would be our first flower, but if you wanted to, you could make another one like that, and then you could just trim the petals so that they turn into round or curved petals. Can you see? So we had the straight ones and now we've got some curved ones. You could make another one exactly the same as that, but can you see this centre section here in the egg box? We cut that out carefully. So we've got like a little, it looks a bit like a little beak actually. So we could paint, whoops, there's a flying beaks. We could paint that either that way and stick it into the centre of our flower, or the other way and stick it into the centre of the flower like that. Okay, so we're trying to use every single piece of each of the egg boxes. I'll show you how to do a different one now. Again, we're going to cut around the shape. Like that one. So we've got our little egg cut shape there. And then we're going to take some of these little bits that you might throw away. Don't throw them away. Fold them around on themselves. I'm going to trim that tiny bit off there. So I'm going to just continue rolling this up, and what would have been something that you would throw away actually can become the centre of a rose. So that might go into there. I could glue that in. We have to use a Pritt stick, but you need a lot of glue on the bottom. This isn't exactly smooth, so we'll make sure that we get lots and lots and lots of glue on. Sometimes it's easier to paint before you glue, so you could do that, or you can put them together and then paint. Let's stick that in. It's probably going to open a little bit, so leave it like that and don't touch it. Let it dry. You've got to let that glue dry before you touch anything. So there's a few more examples of flowers here. Whoops, that have been cut out using different shapes. You see, these are pointed. Some there, different shaped petals. Here's one that's made by layering up the petals. It's a little bit like a poppy, can you see? So there's lots of individual pieces being cut from the sides. And then layered together. So that might be the first one. And then can you see these sides here? We use these. So nothing goes to waste on the egg box. Well, not much, should I say, not much goes to waste. So something like that, and we put the glue on, and we wrap it round, and just keep building up wider and wider. But don't forget, once we glue it into place, don't touch it for a while, let that glue really take hold. Okay, and then we could keep adding more and more and more of those petals on. So what I do now is I start to paint my flowers. We'll use nice purple, I think, for this one. Just a little bit. I paint the inside and the outside because you are going to see the outside as well. If you haven't got acrylic paints, any paint will do. You could even use felt tips or wax crayons to colour them in. Just use whatever you've got at home. Make the best out of anything that you've got. They actually look brilliant if you use oil pastels or something like that, coloured crayons. And then if you did want to get a shiny finish, you could mix some PVA glue, some white glue and water, and paint that over the top. So I've done the outside, I've done the inside, so now I'm going to do the outside. Just make sure that you cover it all, you don't need to paint the base. Like that, so it'd go all the way around. So once we've got quite a few flowers, and you'll see on this one, I've got some that look like daffodils. This one isn't even real, it's just made up. And I found some sparkly paint, and that looks really good and effective to put inside there. This one is just quite a few egg cups inside of each other. These ones, I just made anything up as I was going along. So we need to get our base now, and then we just very carefully start to place our flowers around. You don't need a lot, you don't even have to cover all of it, you could just come up to here with your flowers. And then the other thing is, try to cut some leaves out as well. So you've got the tops of the egg boxes, we can even use the tops of the egg boxes, the flat part, to make some leaves. And then when you're sticking these on, let them come out a little bit to give some extra shape to the wreath. I've drawn on these with felt tip pen just to make it look like a real leaf, but you don't have to. And can you see I've used different shades of green to get different types of leaves. So if you've only got one green, you could add some white to the green to make it lighter, or you could add a tiny touch of black or purple or blue, just to give different shades of green. So we build up our wreath again a lot of this glue and stick it on and leave it to dry. And there's a lot of waiting in between each stage for this. You need to make sure that things are perfectly dry before you move on to the next stage. If you don't have any paint, these are amazing, just made like this. You could still use a cardboard cutout. Put that to one side. And just keep making flowers, different types of flowers, with the actual plain egg box. So I'm going to make one like we did before, where we put the strips into it. Some people might like these plain, others might prefer to paint them. Hold it back all the way around. I'm not going to trim this one, I'm going to leave the petals as they are because I quite like that they're not all the same. That on, and then do you remember we could use this section here? I'm just going to trim it slightly to make it flatter. And then I'm going to stick that in that way. And if you continue to build up your flowers, so I'm going to cut some triangle shapes in this one. So I'm going to give a point and then go down the other way. Cut a triangle out, can you see? So I'm cutting that shape out. And again, all the way around. And we could even use the triangles that we're cutting out, so don't waste those. Until we get all the way back round. So now we've got a little flower with pointed petals, and we could actually, with these triangles that we cut out, we could stick them together and make a little something to the centre. Fold it round, stick it together, and we could put that in the centre there. It's fallen to pieces, but that actually doesn't matter because that looks like it's a natural flower. So instead of painting these, keep them the same colour and add on like that. If you haven't got any cardboard and you can't do this part, don't worry. If you've got some straws, what you could do is glue a straw onto the back, and then the straw will be the stem of the flower. So you could put these into a jam jar. So make use of everything that you've got at home. If you haven't got any of these things, then we can try. I say we'll get you some egg boxes. We've got lots of those. But if you haven't got those, try and look at what you have got around. Cardboard cereal boxes or something like that. You could do anything. So even an old pencil stuck on the back of that, put it into a pot, and you can make some beautiful spring flowers for your garden. It would be really great if we could see your creations, anything that you make based on this. Send them into Thrive, and then I'll get the chance to see them and sharing your fun. Thanks. See you soon, guys.